We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Let's talk about the Alabama game.
Yeah, let's start off with that. That'd be a good cold open there.
Thank God that I don't have to go to Bobby from my house for another.
Ooh, I haven't been threatened
8
to be
months.
canceled in a while. This will be fun.
I
All
think
right.
one of BB's cousins was that guy that jumped in the
Dude,
aquarium at Bass Pro Shop.
that whole 24-hour period in Leeds was, it might as well have been Mad Max.
Yeah,
Because-
I sent something in there about what was it? The day before when I sent that thing about like the water or something in fucking Leeds, and then it just cascade. I caused that cascade somehow. I caused me mentioning the water supply in Leeds caused a bomb threat, and I got to jump in the Bass Pro Shop like fish tank.
I feel like it was like that scene in Kingsman that like Freebirds is just playing in the background in Leeds and just like pure chaos everywhere. It's just
All right, well, I guess I'll open the show now. All right, welcome back, everybody, to episode whatever this is of the JEB Board podcast. I think it's like 19, maybe 20. I don't know. Hope everybody had a great New Year and Christmas and holidays and Kwanzaa and
Hanukkah.
Yeah, I forgot Hanukkah. Yeah, that's
fans listening. Hanukkah.
Yeah, so make sure we had to throw Hanukkah in there. This is Grayson Applin recording out of Atlanta, Georgia, alongside with me. We got the full crew this week. The Arthur Smith appreciator, Brandon Black, the Joe Barry's future mercenary, Kyle Overhart, Dennis Allen's ball boy, Caleb Naylor, and then where are the Chargers, Nick Noah. So guys, how was everybody's New Year's and Christmas? I'm just kidding. I don't care. So, moving into,
I don't celebrate.
As an Auburn fan, I didn't celebrate the Music City Bowl, so I completely agree there. I actually got to go to the Peach Bowl this past weekend. I guess what was that, New Year's Eve or the Saturday before New Year's Eve or whatever it was. Pretty cool little atmosphere. I wish it was a better game. Penn State kind of got skull drug. Especially in the second half. I mean, it was a pretty tight game for the first half. The second half, Ole Miss kind of ran away with it. I know Nick had some choice words for Lane Kiffin on our Twitter account that week.
It was the Super Bowl. He finally won a game at the in Georgia. So congrats to Lane Kiffin. He's losing his players, and don't worry, he's a good transfer recruiter, but that's it. So at the same point, like I said, he can get all his fifth-year transfers in and try and make a difference, but maybe the 12-man playoff will help him.
Yeah, well, he'll be the 12 seed or the 11 seed getting in every year, and then get the first round exit to whoever it is when they play Old Dominion or New Mexico State or whoever they play. So, well, I guess we'll go ahead and get in the highlights and lowlights, guys. I guess a highlight for BB is the Falcons, right?
Oh yeah, it's great. Or somebody on Twitter posted a job application, and he filled out Arthur Smith's job application to FedEx.
Oh my god!
He screen recorded it. Yeah, he's awful. That's embarrassing.
Couldn't imagine like a better send off for such a terrible coach.
Yeah,
and I like it because honestly, I don't think that game could have ended any better for both BB and I as a Saints fan, because all it did was highlight why Dennis Allen is so terrible. Like he turned something that should have been something celebrated. Jamal Williams getting his only touchdown on the season, and then him and Arthur Smith have a spat about them running up the score, and then Dennis Allen just throws all the players under the bus. Said, "Well, they audibled. I called a kneel." Yeah. So
Well,
this game somehow managed to make both of our coaches look terrible.
Falcons lost the battle but won the war.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Loomis is going to stick with Allen. So
Arthur Blank said he's torn about whether or not to fire him like 12 hours ago. So I don't know.
Well, maybe
Well,
hopefully he didn't die over the past 12 hours, because if he saw what we saw, then he should have his reasoning.
Well, didn't he say something about, like, when asked about it, he was like, well, let's see how this game goes, and it kind of depends on a lot about that. And so, I mean, letting up 48, and I know some of it was in garbage time, but still, I mean, they just fell apart.
I want him to score more, honestly.
Well, and this kind of goes in with what we're talking about here. Like, how many coaches do you think that we'll see gone? Because I was on the phone with somebody earlier, and I mentioned with the coaches that are already gone. So we got Brandon Staley, the coach from
Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels from the Raiders.
We're up to 4.
You were up
Patriots.
To 4?
Yes. Josh McDaniels, Brandon Staley, Bill Belichick, and Frank Reich at Panthers.
Yeah, I forgot about Frank Reich.
And they just announced today Ron Rivera is more than likely getting moved on from. So that's up to 5. Arthur Smith, more than likely. That's up to 6. Who was it? There's like 2 more. Hold on.
Potentially Dennis Allen.
Yeah, Dennis Allen, I would have to say, is in that discussion. Although I think it's pessimistic they'll move on from him. He's on a hot seat for sure.
Yeah. Is there any word on the Cardinals coach over the past
It's his first year. I think they're keeping him.
Oh yeah, it's Gannon. Never mind.
Yeah.
What do y'all
No,
think?
it's Murr.
What do y'all? So this is a little more speculative. What do y'all think of Doug Peterson? Do you think that they'll ride it out with Doug Peterson, or Jaguars starting to get?
He's doing just enough. He's doing just enough to keep him relevant. I mean, he's a big time name coach, you can say, but yeah, no.
I mean, I guess
they should move on from him.
Yeah,
but I don't think they will.
You had a 2-game lead in the division, and then you don't make the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean, hell, I think Mike Tomlin should be fired.
Yeah,
but don't get me wrong. I think he's a great coach, and he's done well enough to do what he can. But I think me and Grayson talked about this, or Grayson made this point, but he keeps him in purgatory. He keeps him just good enough to not get a good draft pick, but never actually compete in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we
never had a losing season, has he?
No,
exactly,
he has never had a losing season.
But sometimes organizations just need new, fresh faces.
Yeah, I agree. If we had been discussing this like a couple weeks back or something, or earlier in the season, I would have said, yeah, he's definitely on a hot seat. But now that they're somehow squirreling their way into the playoffs, I think they're stuck with him.
Again, I think it goes back. I think it's a testament to how good Mike Tomlin is as an actual coach, being able to take this ragtag group of these he's been through 3 quarterbacks this year so far with Kenny Smallhands Pickett, Bitch Trubisky, and now we got January 6th truther Mason Rudolph or Randolph or whatever his name is. Yeah, huh?
With Myles Garrett smoked on the head with his own helmet.
Oh yeah,
that guy. Yeah. So
and then you got to think about all the problematic receivers that have come through the Steelers while he's been there.
Yeah, I mean the only really shining bright spot that they have is their running back room and their defense, realistically. So I saw a stat today. They ended up 10-7? Is that where the Steelers ended up?
Yeah.
They were 10-7, and they still got outscored by 20 points this year. Mm-hmm. They ended with a winning record, but a negative point differential. So
the Vikings of this year,
pretty much. So, but yeah, they and going into some other teams, I guess going back to the Jaguars, I was talking with my buddy Milton, who's a big Jaguars fan, and he was talking about how that he thinks that Trevor Lawrence is a head case, because he was sitting there watching the game, and Milton played at a collegiate level. He played for South Alabama, and I know Baby's got some words to say. He was on the team that got beat by Air Force that one year.
I know we won our bowl game. I don't hold no more grudges.
Okay.
One of only 2 teams in the whole state of Alabama that won their bowl game.
Exactly, and 159-10 as well. But anyways, and then 49 guys beat the hell out of that one guy from Eastern Michigan. But regardless, he was watching the game and he said that the play call for Jacksonville was like bad, like it was very simple, like high school level play calling. And so it kind of gets to the point of, number one, you got to have the personnel to be able to run these more convoluted or complex plays, right? And if your quarterback can't develop that and do that, even though he was a quote unquote generational talent 4 years ago, there's your first issue. Second issue, and I mentioned this, and I can't remember if I mentioned this on the last episode of the podcast, but a lot of times these coaches, when they come under fire, and this is more speaking about the Eagles right now than the Jaguars, but same concept. These coaches, when they come under fire and come under scrutiny, they usually do one of two things. Either they go for these big, ballsy, like plays, like these that it's a risk to reward thing. And it's like, why is that coach doing that? But nothing's going to be said if that play comes to fruition. You know, if they're calling like these 15, 20-yard passing plays and they're working out. So you have that train of thought, but you also have the conservative, like, I'm not going to draw any more attention to myself, and we're going to do QB draw, running back draw, screenplay, punt. So I wonder if that's part of the reason why Jacksonville is doing that as well, because as soon as bye week hit this year, they hit a wall.
Yeah, they were 8-3.
Yeah, they were 8-3 going into bye week, and they finished season
9-8.
9-8. So I mean, it's just
kind of looking like the Eagles.
Yeah, that's another thing. The team I just brought up, the Eagles. I mean, they were getting beat 24-0 just a second ago. For everybody, in reference for everybody, we're recording on January 7th. But we, we're recording on January 7th. We're finishing up the games right now and still trying to figure out the seating and stuff. But yeah, I mean, you would think the Eagles have a kind of a cakewalk win today against the Giants. And last time I checked, it was 24-0. I obviously hadn't looked at it since then, but it looks still 24-0. Yeah, still 24-0 in the third quarter. So, I mean, it's weird. It's a very weird, weird how teams are falling apart, especially on the back half of the season.
Well, they also started all their starters because of placement. You know, it was one of those games that, usually you start them in the first half, get a good lead, put in your backups, that kind of, like, they were good enough in the seeding to where they didn't need to play their starters the entire game.
Yeah.
But they still wanted to win. Well, Jalen Hurts has dislocated his middle finger, but that can cause issues. I don't think it'll sit him in the playoffs, but I think it can cause issues on some throws and some snaps, especially maybe even under the center snaps. But AJ Brown went down holding his knee. And so I don't know if he's come back yet. I'm not watching that game, but yeah, I mean, like, they've taken a little bit more of a loss than just if they do lose, they've gotten some key pieces there of offense that's already been struggling. They've lost them. So, and the backup quarterback and Devontae Smith is still hurt too. So your number one is now Quez Watkins.
Big.
So yeah, I mean, quickly your all-pro offense has gone to.
Yeah.
And DeAndre Swift has fallen off.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think it's the fact, like, so if you look at their rushing stats for the year, like, it was right around their first bye week. Like, they were running the ball pretty efficiently with both him and Gainwell. Like, they were using them in tandem. So, DeAndre Swift wasn't putting up like insane numbers, but he was
fitting well into the offense.
Yes,
in his role. And there's by the way, there's his finger right there. If you need to know, that's the dislocated finger for you.
So DeAndre Swift. So after their bye week, so up until their bye week, well, I'll put it this way. He got like 28 carries against Minnesota. He was getting, on average, probably around 15 touches, give or take, maybe a little bit more on average. And had 175 yards against Minnesota, had 130 against Tampa Bay. And he was being utilized in the passing game as well, and at least getting touches. But he was total touches, probably getting 20 a game. And then you get to after bye week when they played Kansas City and Buffalo and San Francisco, those numbers go drastically down. He got 20 touches against the Giants 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago for 92 yards and a touchdown. But after that, I mean, he's not really seeing the ball. So again, I don't understand why you have a guy like DeAndre Swift, who was, I mean, he was a good player at Detroit, and he was supposed to be an upgrade from Miles Sanders, who those two comparably are near about the same player. But
just one of them's younger.
One of them's younger and more moving into his prime, and now you're not utilizing him. And it's not because you have someone else you're just not using the running back. So let's see. Did I miss anything? Do we have any more lowlights, guys?
Arkansas basketball.
They are, yeah. That joke of
they had so Arkansas is notorious for talking a lot of and for basketball, not football, obviously. But just, you know, and Eric Musselman's the ringleader, their head coach, who, you know, they beat Auburn like 4 years ago when Auburn was number 1. They had fireworks in the arena. He threw off his shirt, and you know, just huge celebratory as their Super Bowl win. And they've kind of been riding on that the last 4 years ever since that. And you know, they've been a decent team. They've always been an okay team in the regular season. Then they always make a good push in the tournament and the SEC tournament. But yeah, they just got handed their biggest loss in Bud Walton history, their arena, 32-point loss to Auburn. Kind of one goes to show that Auburn basketball is the real deal. And as an Auburn fan, thank God that I have something to look forward to besides hypotheticals and recruiting for football. But no, Arkansas, that was a very well-deserved loss for them. So I just wanted to make that, bring that into light.
Yeah, and then and talking about college basketball too a little bit more, which obviously we'll be more than likely talking about just basketball in general a little bit more over the next several months because of, you know, football's tapering down. You know, we mentioned earlier about Ole Miss, like before the podcast, and how they were undefeated and everybody thought they were the real deal and yada, yada, yada. And they got skull drugged by Tennessee this past Saturday. And it goes to show,
25-point loss.
It goes to show that you have to get a good gauge of your team with who they play before they hit conference and like the conference to conference challenges. Like you can't just play like UNC Greensboro, West Florida, and the School for the Arts and beat them by 30 and expect your team to be good, you know, because your powerhouses in the SEC, obviously it's Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Auburn over the past 4 or 5 years. Like those are your powerhouse schools. And then you get like teams like Ole Miss that are once probably like every 4 or 5 years when they have like 1 or 2 good players. But you can't like say, oh, they're undefeated by beating all these high schools. And then, you know, they're going to swamp Tennessee and they're going to place first in the conference. They're going to win the SEC. It's like, no, SEC, like the reason why SEC is like, or conference play is so competitive is because you play each other twice a year. And on top of that, like, you might as well just go ahead and overlook, unless you're playing in a tournament or playing in like conference, the conference play. Like most of the time these teams are going to have like, okay, we're going to have a base offense, base defense. This is what we're going to run. But as soon as we play Arkansas or Tennessee or Kentucky or whoever, like this is when we're going to start game planning for real. Like this is how we're going to like actually start focusing more on film, focusing more on personnel, you know, instead of going out there and just basically playing pickup ball.
Your first 13 games, the non-conference games, are more of like gauging, okay, this is the starting lineup that I like. This is the, you know, good rotation set that I've got. My players do well. It's your experimenting stage to that way you're 100% ready for conference play. And that's for any division, not just the SEC. And so now that's not, you know, discrediting, you know, when you have top like top 10 matchups, top 15 matchups, you're playing your best ball to try and win because, when everybody's kind of going down to the bracketology, they're looking at quarter one, quarter two wins. And if you don't have them, then that's where you can be snubbed or you can have a lower, seating. But your non-conference are very important, but at the same time, when you're playing these, teams that you should beat by 20, those are the ones that you really experiment. And then as soon as SEC conference, it's just like the NFL, anything can happen on a given night. It doesn't matter how bad or how good they are.
Right. Well, all right. Well, I guess that'll get us out of our makeshift highlights and lowlights this week, and it will get us into our well, first off, we're going to do a pulse check for our team since the regular season is almost over. I mean, it's over for 4 out of 5 of us, I guess, technically. The Chargers, have the Chargers played yet, Nick?
They're still playing.
Okay.
Actually, Grayson, it would be just me and you still alive.
They're talking about active games, Kyle. Thank you.
bad.
Okay,
Yeah.
Chargers are still very much in this season. Thank you. They still got a quarter left.
Mercifully.
Hey, and they're about to beat the Chiefs too.
Are they
I ain't
real?
saying much. That's not saying much.
Go Bears.
Now, fuck you.
Bears.
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Since the regular season is almost over with, we're going to do a pulse check on our teams, and we will I guess we'll start with the guys that our teams are already done. So me, Caleb, and BB, and then by the time we get done, we should have a pretty good idea of how in pain Kyle is going to be, and then Nick will already have collected his thoughts on the Chargers. So, I mean, hell,
5 wins? Do we have 6 wins?
But I'll go ahead and start with the Bucks. I mean, it got to a point where I got excited about the Buccaneers. What was it, weeks 12 to 15, 13 to 16? There's about 4 weeks there where the Buccaneers were playing great ball. I mean, Baker Mayfield was playing out of his mind. It looked like a lot of the problems that the Buccaneers had in terms of offensive line play. And, I mean, we were actually able to run the ball with Rachaad White. He is arguably the brightest star on that whole team. Like, and not saying in terms of like, oh, he's going to be like the all-pro guy, like he is the guy. But in terms of unexpected turnouts, I would say he's probably one of the best. Antoine Winfield had a great season. That he really brought the secondary alive. I mean, Nick made this comparison the other day. He is like Jamal Adams if Jamal Adams can actually go into coverage. So
what Jamal Adams was supposed to be.
Yes. So I'm very happy that because he was first round pick. He was the first pick in the 2021 draft, I believe.
Yeah, he's young.
Yeah, because he was out of Minnesota. So like I said, but the thing is like you have these past 2 games where we lose last week. We only beat the Panthers 9-0 this week, and it looks like we're sinking into more of the same. So, looking at the potential matchups in the playoffs, I mean, it's going to be the Cowboys or the Eagles, it looks like. And I really don't like – I honestly would rather play the Eagles at this stage in the game. That would be a shining star, and then, like, get out of the wild card, go into the divisionals. And if they make the divisionals, I mean, technically I would consider that a win. But in the same token, it's like you also have things like, what is Mike Evans going to do this year? Are we going to stick with Baker? There's still a lot of questions that need to be answered from the Bucks. But all in all, it was, I guess, a roller coaster of a season in terms of expectations and then changing expectations, if that makes sense. So we'll see. Like realistically, I'm like I don't really know how to feel about it. It was great, then it wasn't, then it was great, and I don't know. And then at the end of the day, the NFC, like we should be blowing out the NFC South. And like I wasn't happy with the Todd Bowles replacing Bruce Arians decision. I would have much rathered it been oh God, what was the offensive coordinator's name?
Byron Leftwich.
Byron Leftwich. Yes, I would much rather it be Byron Leftwich, who ended up leaving. So, but I will say, I think that if they can keep their core guys, bring Mike Evans back somehow, again, we'll have to see how that works out. I do think that they will be perched on top of the division, at least get a playoff spot, but I don't know if that's how much of a win that is because it is the NFC South. So, well, BB, why don't we go to your analysis on the Falcons?
Falcons bad. They throw a ball and it doesn't go anywhere.
See what I mean?
As far as I'm concerned, the season ended week 2.
Yeah.
Since you last watched.
I didn't know the NFL season was 18 weeks long until today. Kind of crazy to me. Seems like a lot.
Seems like halves.
They play 18 games in football.
Yeah. Why don't we just stop after week 2?
We should have.
Or first half.
Yeah.
I'll claim the APA Super Bowl champ week 2. I mean, I don't know. Just thank God Arthur Smith's gone. Hopefully.
Not yet.
Okay. I'll give you a prompt. Who's your quarterback moving into next year?
See, you know my stance on the Titans, our front office, how they're kind of like. Well, I didn't know this till today that the Falcons are paying their backup quarterback about 6 times more than their starting quarterback.
Well, who's who?
That's fair. I mean, well, the person that started the less amount of games getting paid $6 million, and the person that started the most amount of games getting paid $900,000 a year.
Well, don't worry, y'all gonna have to pay him this year.
Can't pay him to stay at home.
Yeah, well,
what else?
What would you like to see, BB? Like, what would you like to see? Maybe, like, I wouldn't want to say out of the draft, but like, what, quick, immediate stuff happen?
I mean, I don't know. Like, if you fire Arthur Smith, who's going to be the next head coach? Because all these people on Twitter talk about Bill Belichick, and I'll pass on that one. I mean, I don't know. Do you go after hiring? Usually how it goes when you fire a coach. If he's defensive minded, you go offense, and then just go back and forth, right? That's usually how this goes.
Yeah.
Like Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
And politics are on the show.
2024, baby. Election year.
Election year, baby.
Woo! I mean, I don't know. Draft-wise, I'd like to see them be aggressive in the draft and trade up.
Yeah.
For not necessarily Caleb Williams, but for Jade Daniels.
Yeah.
But also might be having a Mercedes in the trailer park, so I don't.
Yeah. Well, was there any shining stars from the Falcons this year that kind of stood out to you?
Bijan did good. David Njoku actually had better numbers. David
Njoku did great for the Browns. The Cleveland Browns. Had a great season for the Cleveland Browns.
Johnny Smith. That's right.
Johnny Smith. Yeah, Johnny Smith. That's right.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of I watched like the first 4 weeks. Then after the first 4 weeks, I kind of like.
I mean, Drake London's been pretty solid throughout the year, though.
Yeah, Jesse Bates had a great year.
Yeah.
This is a group collective on the Falcons season.
Well, I'm just trying to help.
Baseball. I'm already in Braves mode.
Yeah.
Braves mode.
After December 17th, it's baseball season.
Yeah, well, Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates had, very similar numbers to Antoine Winfield, actually. So, I
say that, but I think some of the trades they made during the season were good. Like Jeff Okudah, I think that was a Okudah.
Jeff Okudah.
Jeff Okudah.
You did that episode 3. You did the same thing. Episode 3. Everything has come full circle.
Watch film, BB.
Analysis. Or
Jeff Okudah.
Okudah. Yeah. So see you next year.
Oh, all right. Well, Caleb, if you would like to speak on the behalf of your New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, so if we're just talking about pulse check and everything, I already kind of talked about it a little bit. Me and BB have kind of been rejoicing with the way this game was. Honestly, and I think BB would agree, going into the half, this was a pretty entertaining game to watch between the Falcons and the Saints. Like, it was, both teams seemed like they were taking advantage of their offense and everything. And I, for one, was happy to finally see the Saints spread the ball out across the entire offense. So it was looking good for me. But the thing, though, that always sucks is whenever you, as a Saints fan, whenever you see a good performance, there's like a trend that makes the entire coaching staff complacent. And it's like, oh, well, we did good that time, so let's just have confidence in all of our decisions, especially the ones that didn't work out for us, the other games of the season. And but if I'm talking about like how they move on from this season, it's definitely been a disappointing year. And they're going into the next season with some cap woes. So, I mean, I think it's estimated, they haven't actually released it, but it's estimated that they're going to be like at 90 million over the cap. So there's
Good
a
Lord.
lot.
Guess
Yeah.
who's taking 60% of that?
Yeah. And I think after seeing A.T. Perry's,
He's not playing right now.
Yeah. I think after seeing A.T. Perry's performance today, I think, if I wasn't already on board with letting Mike Thomas go, I am definitely on board with it now, because A.T. Perry showed out today. And so they're doing a lot of cap restructuring, which honestly, when you see the moves they're making, it looks like they're going to be able to make it work for the most part. Derek Carr has already explained that he's open to restructuring his contract, and
he should.
Jameis Winston,
he's about to be Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Jameis Winston's restructured his, and so you could see where they're able to make it work across the board. There's, they did some interesting stuff with Marshawn Lattimore, which kind of makes me think that they're priming him for a trade.
Is this his fifth year? Or
I think
will
so,
he
yeah.
be entering his fifth year?
I think he's entering his fifth year. I think his first season was 2017.
Yeah.
So,
well, Jameis, all he wants is a used sock and some wet wipes just for a chance, like he just wants a shot.
Yeah, it's one of the funny things this season was to see Derek Carr throw an interception, and then it'd pan over to Jameis Winston on the sideline, and he's like talking to Alvin Kamara or something, going like, "But when I do it, it's a bad thing."
Yeah,
like you can see him clearly mouthing that out.
Or the same game, I think it was the same game that I went to when Derek Carr threw an interception, and he was sitting there talking to Derek Carr, and he wanted and I'm pretty sure he wasn't even saying anything about the game. I think he was just straight up rapping. I think Ludacris was performing, and he was just straight up rapping to Derek Carr. So yes, the only reason I want Jameis Winston to stay in the NFL is from the pure memes and content that we get from that man. So, because if Jameis Winston was not around, I think half of the things I've said on this podcast would not have been said. So, re-sign Jameis.
Yeah, and so honestly, despite the cap woes and everything, I don't think we see any real change with the current coaching staff. And from all the rumor mills and everything circling the Saints, it does not look like Dennis Allen's going anywhere. It looks like he's going to be with us for at least another season. Pete Carmichael, offensive coordinator, which has taken a huge amount of flack for this lackluster offense, as an understatement, being so terrible this year. So I think Pete Carmichael's done, but as long as Dennis Allen's there, I don't think they're ever going to be that high of a caliber of a team. I do not like Dennis Allen. I am all out on Dennis Allen because I'm tired of watching him press around on the sidelines. I'm tired of watching him throw players under the bus like he did with the offense today in that final play. They're trying to get their teammate one more score, and instead of advocating for your player and being happy and proud for your player, you sit there and you just crawl on your belly and just beg forgiveness from a fired coach. And honestly, I think it's because he's trying to network, because he did that to a future owner.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure if he wants to talk to Arthur Smith about it more, I'm sure he's going to be left on the tarmac in New Orleans. So
they'll probably have a couple. Yeah, they'll probably have a day or two to catch up.
No, I saw this one tweet that said, "Don't even leave him tarmac. Put him in the belly of the FedEx 747 and go back to Memphis."
Yeah. But that's pretty much my take on the Saints. Derek Carr he pulled it together these past couple of weeks. I think he'll be good. I would like to see them try to go for a quarterback if they could make the right trades to trade up. It would be really cool in my lifetime to see them take a first rounder. But honestly, without trading up, I'd like them to beef up that defense because they're getting old. Those defensive players are getting really old.
Yeah. Well, I guess, Nick, that goes to you about the Chargers.
Yeah, there is no really light to my situation. Well, I take that back. Staley's gone. And right now, the two big replacement names I'm hearing is Jim Harbaugh and Ben Johnson. More than likely, and I think it's a risky move, is Jim Harbaugh. The reason being is, one, you've had all the Michigan controversy with the scandals, the cheating, whatever. So, and the NCAA has already reopened that investigation after it just closed, with the firing of Connor Stallions. So there's that. And he's never really denied any allegations, and apparently they've already had sit-down meetings with the Chargers staff, and apparently, again, this is a rumor, so take it for a grain of salt, but there's already been contract drafts being worked back and forth. I don't think anything will happen until after the national championship, but I think either way, if they win or lose Michigan, I think that's the probably number one target for the Chargers. But Ben Johnson's another, really, in my opinion, a really good option. He's the offense coordinator at the Lions. So I kind of made a list of who do we keep, who do we let go, and what positions do we need to draft at. I want Keenan Allen back, Chargers legend, and he showed even at his age, he's only 29.
What?
Yeah.
I thought he was like 34.
Yeah, that
because
dude
he's
looks
bald.
ancient.
Yeah. So he's not nearly as, or actually, excuse me, I think he turned 30 in like November, but still, he's, in my opinion, in his prime. I thought he was in his prime 2 years ago, 3 years ago before his injuries, but now I think he's in his prime after the season he had. I think keep Mike Williams. He's been, when he's been there, he's been a great complimentary player to Keenan Allen. And I think now with Mike Williams sitting out the entire year after the torn ACL, I think they both come back, both on the field healthy, keep them healthy. I think the two defensive players you want back are Derwin James and Khalil Mack. Players I want let go are two, one defense, one offense. Austin Eckler's got to go.
Yep.
He's undersized, and he was doing great when he had all of his receptions, but he's still never been 1,000-yard rusher. And there's just no compliment. Like, the biggest thing with his play style that kept him, competitive as far as like statistically was the fact that he would have these crazy 60 to 80-yard runs, like once every 2-3 games. So it looked like he would rush for 100, but again, never reached 1,000. So with that, it's time to let him go. He's been at the Chargers for a while and he's done great things, but again, it's just time to let him go. And then Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa is a money nightmare. And he's not producing like Khalil Mack is. And so that's a problem. If he's asking and getting more money than Khalil Mack, but Khalil Mack is outperforming him, Joey Bosa, I feel like it's time to kind of move on from him. He's almost, kind of comparable to Nick Bosa, because Nick Bosa at 49ers, as much as he's like a staple in the media's eyes, for their defense, Nick Bosa has not done very well this year. He's only had 3 or 4 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
And Joey is just like him. And so it's time for Joey to go. And so the three positions I really want them to draft at. We need a corner, a new running back, and I think the running back can be, that mid draft pick, and then lastly, interior lineman, on defensive lineman. So like a true run stopper, because I think keeping Khalil Mack, pick up somebody like a Jadeveon Clowney or whoever in free agency at the other end, but keep Khalil Mack and then beef up the interior defensive lineman. Keep the linebackers. The guy from the Vikings, Kendrick, he's great, and then the guy from Oklahoma, forget his name. He was good. They were solid. So really, those three positions are our biggest things that I think need to get and keep Everett legend.
Go Jags. Well, that is perfect timing, Nick, because the Packers game just ended, and so now I'm sure we will have a very civil, level-headed analysis on the Packers. So go ahead, Kyle.
I got a few questions for a few people. Hey, Caleb. Yeah. Are the Saints going to the playoffs?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. Hey, BB.
What?
Are the Falcons going to the playoffs?
I didn't know there was playoffs in the NFL.
Okay, cool. Hey, Nick. Are the Chargers going to the playoffs?
Were you listening?
Guess who's going to the playoffs, you degenerates?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Buccaneers and the Green Bay Packers. It should be a two-man show for the rest of the season. All year. Okay, anyways. So, I will say this at the beginning of the season. I had said I would be happy with a 6-win season from the Packers. Anything over that would be extremely.
Sean Clifford.
Yeah, and I'm glad I was wrong on that. I didn't think Jordan Love was going to pan out based off his previous performances from past seasons. But anyways, I am glad he panned out, and I'm glad you see the 9-win season on such a young team. Vance sent us a message earlier talking about how the Packers that they got in would be the youngest team to ever make the playoffs. So that if they can structure these contracts correctly, which they might have screwed themselves with not going with Jordan earlier and maybe getting him in the $30 million range, because now you're probably looking at around $50 million a year. So that could maybe screw him over on a few contracts with the young players, but we'll see. That's a future problem. You get Aaron Jones. He came back from injury. He's running the ball. He's looking like he used to from previous seasons. He's balling out. So that's helped Love been able to get where he is now, passing they put up stats with Favre and Rodgers and Love for their first season as a Packer. And he's one touchdown away from Rodgers, but he has the most passing yards out of the three. So, you get another, what looks like maybe a generation quarterback again, hopefully for the Packers, and that'd be 3 in a row. So you got 3 different owners of the Chicago Bears again, and it's looking great on the offense side. Then we get the defense. What's going to stop the Packers this season in the playoffs is Joe Barry, the man who decides to play soft coverage when the Packers up by 5 with 1 minute and 20 seconds left. A man that doesn't know what pressure is. He is a disgrace to the Green Bay Packers, and hopefully they fire him. And you have. I would have loved to have seen them fire him last season and bring in Jim Leonard. But hopefully this is the season. I'm kind of scared they're not going to with them making the playoffs now. I think him and Matt LaFleur are buddy-buddy, so he's too scared to actually pull the trigger on that. And that's going to keep this team down, which kind of sucks. Like I said, with such a young team proving themselves this year, you actually get someone that can run a defense they can actually compete with people like the 49ers, like the Ravens. But without a defense, you're not going to do well. Like next week, I know they're probably going to get destroyed by. I think they play Dallas. I might be mistaken. I think
they'll be the 7th.
Yeah,
Dallas has. No, yeah, they'll play Dallas.
Yeah, so I think the defense is going to get picked apart next week. So hopefully we can see a change at defensive coordinator. When you have 12 straight years of first-round picks for defense, you expect them to be a top defense in the league, and they're not. And that's a hard pill to swallow. But bright futures. First year with Love, and he made the playoffs. Can't be too upset with that.
I guess so. Well, and I guess going basically off of what you just said right there, Kyle, we'll go into our NFL segment, which our NFL segment is going to be kind of taking a deeper dive into the potential playoffs right now. So as of now, just a listing off the teams and how everything is played out. Looking at the AFC, you've got the Ravens has clinched their first round bye. It looks like the Dolphins looks like will be
Steelers on their game.
If
they lose
of the ninth game, will be the 2 seed, and the loser's not going to make the playoffs.
No.
All the teams
it
are
was there until Jacksonville lost.
Okay.
When Jacksonville lost, both teams are guaranteed, but the winner takes the 2nd seed, the loser takes the 6th seed.
Yeah,
which is that's a big thing. But
yeah, so right now the Ravens, Dolphins, Chiefs, Texans, Browns, Bills, and Steelers are all there. So Ravens clinch division. The Bills could clinch tonight, I think. Yes.
I think so.
The Chiefs have clinched their division. So if the Bills win tonight, they clinch. If they lose, then the Dolphins will clinch. Texans clinch today. So that will the Browns are in the playoffs. Just throwing that out there. And then the Steelers
Browns are in the playoffs with an 11-win season.
Yes.
Look at Joe Flacco, bro. He has turned that offense around.
And then the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be the number 7 seed. So
womp womp.
Womp womp. So I guess let's talk about some of the bless me. I guess we'll talk about some of thanks, baby. What do we expect to happen like out of the AFC? Like I guess going into the AFC Championship game, like let's just kind of use that as a frame of reference. Like out of those 7 teams, who are we looking that will go into the AFC Championship game and then from there into the Super Bowl?
Bills, Ravens.
Browns.
Yeah, I tend to say Browns, Ravens. Now, seeing how Joe Flacco has played the past couple weeks,
y'all are all gonna judge the shit out of me.
You can say be bold, say the Steelers.
Don't you say Pittsburgh? You keep them out your mouth.
Nope. Kansas City. And when I know, but when they get into the playoffs, you got to think like not looking at this year, but looking at the team the past 5 years. When you're a team going up against them, going up at home because they secured the 3rd seed, when you're going up against them, you got to see their dominance the last 5 years, and the fact that again they're going to have everybody healthy. Now that may not be a good thing, but they found their number 1 receiver in Rashee Rice. They've got Pacheco. They got Travis Kelce. Yeah. Woodford's hitting.
Naysayer, all right.
So, I'm just saying, and their defense is top 5 ranked. I'm just saying, whenever I see Kansas City matched up against anyone, I'm not saying that's a guaranteed loss. I'm just saying it's going to be a tough game because, they've kept it low scoring all season, but they've won those low scoring games because of their defense. And so I think they're a dark horse for me. Now the Ravens look like the most complete team besides maybe San Francisco and Dallas, but Dallas again is a little bit unproven with, playing in big games. Miami, I don't trust Miami. I think it would benefit Miami to honestly lose this game against the Bills to take the 6th spot, because if not, then they'll be playing, I think they'll either play Cleveland or Houston if they win. So I think that, again, I'm just not sold on Miami, just since, again, they have a high-powered offense, but they struggle in big-time games. But yeah, those are kind of my Baltimore's most complete, Kansas City dark horse.
I want to see a Pittsburgh Buccaneers Super Bowl. Just because
that'd probably be the lowest grossing Super Bowl.
I know. I think it's so funny.
Sicko. I want to believe the Ravens are going to go to the Super Bowl. I really do, but they have not proven themselves in the playoffs.
They always choke.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
Lamar better put his actions to where that money is, because they paid him a lot of money to win them the Super Bowl, and what is it? The last 4 years he's choked in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that doesn't happen this year, just because, like, as I have explained it before, and I explained it again earlier today to someone, how all year the Ravens have not played like a good game all year, maybe 2, and they're still managing to have the best record in the AFC. So
in the NFL.
And like you look at it and it's like, oh, well, their running backs can't stay healthy. Their running backs can't stay consistent.
They also signed Dalvin Cook, by the way. I don't know if y'all saw that.
Ooh, I did not see that.
The Ravens signed Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, that's a deadly backfield.
I thought that was a joke.
No.
Yeah, so they signed Dalvin Cook. They started off the year with J.K. Dobbins, who got re-injured again. Then it went to Gus Edwards, and then Gus Edwards bounced back and forth, and Justice Hill was in there. And then you start looking at the receiving core, and it's like, okay, they have Zay Flowers, who's a good rookie, putting up decent numbers this year. Odell Beckham Jr. is washed. Like, he's had 1, maybe 2 good games all year. Mark Andrews got hurt and is on the IR. And now Isaiah Likely.
I think that was a good
blessing in disguise.
Yeah, because Isaiah Likely has been tearing it up in that offense.
So you've got all of that, and it's like when you look at that and you look at like all the, I guess, struggles that each individual player has kind of had, it's just kind of like, damn, like this is they're going to be borderline a wild card team, but they have the best record in the NFL. So I think, I hate to say it, but I think, because I don't want to jinx them, this is the reason I don't want to say it, but I think this year is the Ravens' year, just because that ugly, dirty, nasty AFC North ball has gotten them to a really good record. And I think if they hit their stride, like, I think they can easily, I think it'll be them and the 49ers. We'll get to the NFC here in a second. But as for my other team, I don't know, man. I think realistically with the other 6 teams, it's a toss-up. I think the Dolphins let's see, if it stays the way it is right now, let's see, the Dolphins will play the Bills. Yeah, Dolphins will play the Bills. So I think the Bills beat them. I think they take a first-round exit there. I don't think the Chiefs are that good. Like, them and the Browns, who knows? Like, the Chiefs will make the divisional. Right now, the Texans are kind of scary. So I'm not picking the Steelers by any means. So I don't know, man. Like I said, the Ravens for sure are on one side, but the other side I have no idea.
Miami would play the Steelers. If they win tonight, they'll play the Steelers because the 2 will play the 7.
Oh, yeah. I misread that. My bad.
So
yeah.
I'm just saying, though, if somehow the Steelers win their wild card game and they play the Ravens, Steelers are beating the Ravens.
Oh,
the
Because that's a
Ravens,
rivalry game.
the Ravens are 1-8 in their last 9 games against the Steelers.
Isn't Pittsburgh and the Ravens like a rivalry too?
Yeah.
Or am I
North.
confusing that with Cleveland?
It's a
No.
divisional.
It's
They're all divisional. So,
Yeah,
but
it's
yeah,
straight hate
the
football.
Steelers, for whatever reason, has had the Ravens number.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be playing in Pittsburgh, would they?
No.
No.
I was gonna say, is playoff.
Oh, not again.
Huh?
Thanks. I would love to
Okay.
watch the Browns make a push, though, with Joe
Yeah,
Flacco.
so-
The
Yeah, I
Joe
would.
Flacco, Italian legend.
Let's see. Right now, let's see. Did they win? Oh no, Chiefs about to lose. Well, no, they're not. They'll kick a field goal, but they'll play the Chiefs.
Yeah.
We got about
Do you-
5 minutes left of red zone for the year.
I know.
Or
Do you
the-
think they bring back Joe Flacco? Do you think they try, or do you think they're going to go forward with Deshaun?
They've got
No,
too much money sank into Deshaun.
Yeah, they gave him way too much guaranteed money to not.
They screwed themselves. But
I
yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if Joe Flacco like actually retired after this year. Like if especially if if he can end on a high note with a couple playoff wins under his belt, I think it's safe to say he'll retire.
I
If
think
Joe-
even if they lose first round, I mean, the fact that he took them to the playoffs, and I mean, dude, at the end of the games, like, you know, and I know it was a joke him falling asleep on the sideline, but like, dude's old.
Yeah,
I mean,
very
he
old.
looks
I mean,
tired.
we
not
were
just
in
on the
middle school when
sidelines,
he
but
started playing.
Yeah,
What was it?
Like,
2012 was the Super Bowl year for him.
Yeah, that was the Super Bowl year with
Yeah.
I think what was it, Ray Lewis's last season?
Yep.
yeah, when they beat Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, he's like the dad that comes out there in the Thanksgiving football.
Yeah, that was when they played in New Orleans, and then
The power went out.
They forgot to pay the power bill during the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I don't know. All I've got to say is this: if he does not win comeback player of the year, and they give it to DeMar Hamlin, like
For living,
for living, yeah, like congrats, brother. Like that's great. Glad the EMTs and everybody got you back alive, and you're able to
Yeah.
get on a field.
like, dude, you're not special. I resuscitate myself every week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then Kyle made the comment the other day about how like it was a clone and this, that, and the other, but we're not going to get into that.
What?
But yeah, no, I mean, the fact that Joe Flacco was probably Joe Flacco was just sitting on his couch and he got a call and there he was like,
Flocka.
yeah, Joe Flacco. He was just sitting there on his couch and then somebody called him up and it was like, hey, can you come play for us? And he's like,
Yeah, I'll lead you to a wild card.
yeah, why not? So yeah,
And
come
he can
back
still
player of the year.
spin it too. Like so these passes he's making are good. Like
Mhm.
he's not just like he's not getting dink and dunk passes. He's making
God,
some long balls.
I
too.
hope the Browns play the Ravens. They
Me too. That'd
get
be
up
so
all the way
good.
to the conference championship and play the Ravens. That would be just, you know, the script is written, it's real. I mean,
chosen one.
that's yeah.
Did not have that on my bingo board for sure.
No.
So, well, I guess we'll move into the NFC now, and since everything is settled, if I'm not mistaken. So on this side, we got the 49ers. We've also got the Lions and the Cowboys, which that is now decided the Cowboys have won the division, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if the Eagles game's still going on or not, but
It doesn't matter. Cowboys just had to win, and they did.
Okay.
Eagles
So
lost.
yeah, so it's 49ers, Lions, Cowboys, Buccaneers, and then you got the Eagles, Rams, and the Green Bay Packers. So we're looking at it here. 49ers obviously get the bye. The Lions get the Packers. That's an interesting matchup there. The Rams get the Cowboys, and the Buccaneers get the Eagles. So right off the bat, I think the Lions are making the NFC Championship game. I think they're honestly. I'm gonna say it. I think they get there, and I think they win. I think they go to the Super Bowl and play the Ravens.
Ooh.
Even
All
if it's
right.
San Francisco.
even against San Francisco. So honestly, I think the 1 and 2 out of the NFC are going to make it to the NFC Championship game this year. The Cowboys are too inconsistent. They're going to end up getting beat by someone. And again, they have to ruin their fans' hopes and dreams. Like, we're not there yet. Like, we have to get back on the cycle. Like, they build up hope halfway through the season. They like lose hope. And then everybody's like, oh, we may be back. Dak may be good. And then we get to the playoffs and then the Cowboys fall off. Like, that's where we're at. We're on the cusp of phase 4. So
Dallas is a pretty team because they beat up on bad teams.
Yes.
Yeah. But I just want to say, like, I'm gonna pat myself on the back. I don't care how well or bad. I know I've fallen off on my NFL picks, but I've been right on all of my Detroit Lion picks all season long.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I told Grayson this last week that Detroit needs to lose their game before their last game of the regular season, which they did. They lost to the Cowboys in that, controversy. They needed to lose that one because about a month and a half before, I said Detroit needs to go into the playoffs at 12-5. They don't need to win the conference. They don't need to go in, 16-1 or 15-2 or even 17-0. They need to go in at 12-5 or 11-6. And if they do that, they're making it all the way to the conference championship. My only difference is I do think the Lions will lose in the conference championship, but I think it's going to be very similar to how the Chiefs came, where the Chiefs made it all the way to the conference championship and then lost to Tom Brady in overtime. I think it's going to be a very close game, but the Lions will be in the conference championship. They'll lose, and the next year is when they go all out and they go to the Super Bowl. But in my opinion, though, like, again, I kind of gave a dark horse for the AFC. My dark horse for the NFC is the Rams. Just because people overlook them. But I think Cooper Kupp will have a little bit of a resurgence, and Matt Stafford has been playing lights out when he's been playing. And so, let's see, they play
Detroit, which is going to be.
No, they'd be played Dallas because Green Bay plays Detroit.
No, Green Bay plays Dallas.
Hey,
no, Green Bay's the 7th seed.
No, they play Dallas,
the 2nd seed.
The Rams just beat the 49ers, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that makes them. That pushes Detroit down. I just read it. Green Bay plays Dallas, and the Rams play Detroit. So Matthew Stafford is coming home to Detroit.
Perfect, even better. Okay, so there goes my dark horse. My main still stays, and Green Bay gets fucked by Dallas for the fucking, for that non-catch that wasn't, with Des Bryant.
Hey, we got really aggressive there.
I got upset.
I'm upset.
Woodford's kicking.
Well, I will say, I'm gonna say this, and this is probably my disease running rampant right now. I think the Buccaneers beat the Eagles. I really do. I think the Buccaneers are going to advance to the divisional round and beat the Eagles.
Sorry. Chiefs beat the Chargers. My bad. Continue.
Well, so yeah, I don't think the I don't think the Eagles are. They have let their fans down a lot this year. The offense coordinators and defense coordinator, like, their play calling has been terrible, especially after the bye week, like I talked about earlier. Dalton's been feeding me all the insider information. I swear, I think he lives in the front office, probably like in a broom closet somewhere. But like, I think they're going to take a first round exit, which is obviously not what they want, but it's going to be a blessing in disguise because they're going to, I think that within the week after they lose, they are going to just start cleaning house. So
too much money.
Yeah. So, but like I said, I still stand what I think the Rams could be exciting. Packers taking first round loss. I mean, they're taking a first round exit. Sorry, Kyle. They're gone. Rams could have potential. Eagles are gone. But like I said, I stand with the Lions and 49ers. And I really think the Lions are going to make the Super Bowl this year. I mean, hell, why not?
I got Tampa and the 49ers in the NFC Championship. Baker has figured it out, and I think they run the table with them. Until they meet the 49ers, I still think 49ers are the favorite to win the Super Bowl. I think they got the most complete team, and okay. Caleb, you look dark over there. You look like you got something cooking up there, fella.
I'm just looking around, but honestly, as we've been
brain cells
discussing,
were hanging out with us too long.
as I've been looking over everything, though, I'm thinking it's hard for me to say I don't believe that the 49ers will end up being the NFC winner, winning the entire conference. But it's more of trying to figure out like who I think will be in that game with them. I'm leaning more towards Lions, but I don't think Tampa Bay really. I don't know. I don't know if they're. I don't know if they're going to get very far. Because with Tampa Bay, you got to consider that that game looked ugly against the Panthers today, and just the week before they got the brakes beat off of them by my Saints. And you can have some bad games here and there, but I just when I'm looking at Tampa Bay, I just don't see them getting past the playoffs. And I don't see them going to the conference champion. So right now I'm thinking 49ers and Lions. I really do agree wholeheartedly with Grayson that Dallas has to perform well just so it could build up their fan base's anticipation and then just shatter it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so because that's the thing. This is how they sell their jerseys. They get everyone excited about them, and then they can sell even more saying, oh, next year. That way, all these quote unquote new Dallas fans can, start thinking, oh, I'm getting in at the ground level before they're super successful. And then, so I think it's part of a marketing scheme that Jerry Jones has. But
real quick, on Red Zone, they're showing like the what if scenarios for AFC division, the wild card matchups. I'm pretty sure no matter what, the Bills and Dolphins play again next week.
Would they just flip flop positions?
Yeah, because if Miami wins, the Bills are a 7th seed, and the 7th seed plays the 2 seed, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting the best 3 out of 4 series here.
Yeah, so it really just depends on where the game is going to be played. Is it going to be played in the tropics of Miami, or is it going to be played in the frozen tundra of Buffalo?
It's going to be played in Buffalo.
Yeah. Which, if they play in Buffalo, they're predicting snow for both days, so that's going to be
I thought the 2 plays the 7.
Yeah, if whoever wins is the 2 seed.
Yeah, but I thought whoever loses is the 6 seed. Does Steelers jump?
Well, according to Red Zone, it has. Here, I'll take a picture of my phone.
I know I've been shaky.
No, we got to know.
I know I've been shaky on the rankings so far.
That can't be true though, because no, I don't think that can be.
We have Google.
I'm just showing you what's on Red Zone.
Yeah, I think if the Bills lose, then they'll play Miami. But
all
right, who's about to have a stroke? Me, because I am.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have like a 5-minute podcast on Thursday when everything releases.
Well, I mean, it would have to be right unless they got their graphic wrong. But I don't think so. I just put in the group name.
Hold on, what does it say though? If the Dolphins win, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
But the thing is, if the Dolphins lose, they
would have to. Well, they would have to have the same record if the winner decides the division, right? Oh wait,
Unless it comes
record
down to some tiebreakers.
So okay, time out. Okay, I figured it out because I'm looking at the records. Okay, if the Bills, because are the Bills and Dolphins playing each other? Is that who they're?
Yeah,
They're playing
okay.
tonight. Yeah.
Right.
in
Okay,
45
so
minutes.
if the Bills win, they will win the division, and the Dolphins will drop to 6. They will not drop to 7 because the Steelers they will still have a better record than the Steelers. So if the Bills win, they will play the Steelers, I think, according to
No, hold on. No,
if the Bills win, yeah.
Let me just fast forward this to when it pops up on the Bills win.
It's not all, and I will say it's not always up to records, because Houston's the 4th seed, but with a 10-win season. But since they clinched their division, that's why they're the 4th seed.
So I fast forwarded on Red Zone. If the Bills win, the Bills will be the 2 seed, and the Dolphins will be the 6 seed, and they'll play the Chiefs.
They won't play because the 2 seed plays the 7 seed.
Right. Which if the Bills win, the 7th seed will be the Steelers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now that we're done having an aneurysm, God.
Football.
National championship.
Yeah. Let's move into. Well, let's talk about the semifinals real quick. Because I just want to point out that I cannot believe that we had TCU again in the college football playoff this year. We had a team that did not belong, that did not deserve to be there, and they played the number 1 team, and they got their asses handed to them. Okay, yeah, it went to overtime. That's great. But this red-colored TCU team goes into the college football playoff semifinal, and they get every opportunity to win the game, whether it be turnovers, whether it be calls, whatever, and they just go out there and they fumble it. The last play of the game being a QB draw, and that wasn't the play that was called. Well, that was the play that ended up being played. At the end of the day, that's the reality of it. We want to talk about the reality things of, this 2.0 TCU team being better than Florida State this year and being a better matchup because it's better football. Well, the reality of the situation is that the offensive line is in shambles. Jalen Milroe is not a Heisman contender by any means, and his quarterback play was just on par with the quarterback play that was in Florida State and Georgia's game, where Florida State got scrubbed 63-3 or whatever the score was. So I wish honestly, if we wanted the best teams this year, Georgia should have got in. Georgia should have been the 4th seed, to be completely honest with you, if we wanted the best teams. But, it just sucks because, if only there was a way that you could look at statistics and maybe an undefeated record in a conference championship win and, put that team in. But whatever, we get the 1-loss conference champion that struggled in 5 games this year against South Florida, A&M, Arkansas, and Auburn. So it's just crazy. So
Grayson, that's not fair.
That the BCS model picked Washington versus Michigan as a national championship game.
Well, now we proved it, and we got an extra game of football. So unless you like football, shut the hell up.
No, I'm saying. So instead of having a playoff committee, use the BCS system and then do the playoffs based off the BCS rankings.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I got something to say about TCU. At least they beat Michigan in their semifinals game. All right, so I don't think that's fair to compare the two.
That's fair. At least TCU did win last year. It's just
this is more like Alabama in 2014 when they lost to Ohio State and got blown out. I'd say this Alabama team is more like that Alabama team.
Yeah,
well, to be fair, they probably should have got blown out because Michigan probably played the worst football game they've played all year.
Yeah, and still dominated.
Yeah, how many times did Miller get sacked? I think it was 8.
6 or 7.
7 or 8. 7 or 8.
Let's also clarify that Alabama offense though would not be near as effective without Milroe as well.
No, absolutely.
I agree.
Milroe, Milroe is definitely not like a kingmaker, but
imagine if Ty Simpson was in there. not evading the amount of sacks that Jalen Milroe did
7 and
evade.
5.
So I think it is easy to say that Jalen Milroe was the best option at quarterback for Bama. I think it is also easy to say that Jalen Milroe was not as good as everybody made him out to be.
Absolutely.
I think you can say those in tandem with each other and them both be true.
For sure.
So
100%.
I think whenever he got started playing better, I think everybody overreacted to it. Like that 2-3 stretch.
Absolutely.
Timeout. That's just Alabama fans, like the true diehard, like 100% Alabama fans. They overact with anything. Like when they beat or Texas beat them, they were calling for Jalen Milroe's head. Then they got Ty Simpson and they barely beat USF. And then immediately it was like, well, we want Jalen Milroe back. And then it's always about shifting the blame if they don't win the national championship. Because in my opinion, and this is this is absolutely a knock to any Alabama fans, is because they've been spoiled. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, Nick Saban is the greatest head coach of all time, and I'm an Auburn fan. All time, no question, better than Bear, better than anybody. But having 6 national championships in Nick Saban's tenure has made them spoiled and it's a good thing for the team that the standard is national championship because, they've been in the playoffs since the playoffs started. They've only missed the playoffs like once or twice?
Once, I think, yeah.
And so, yeah, the standard's there, but their fans become spoiled because of it. So they overreact very, very quickly to anything that goes wrong. So if they have one bad game, they're immediately calling for somebody's head because they're not having a dominant year like they did in 2020 during COVID. Or
they're leaving halfway through the third quarter, just like when it's to such a degree to where Nick Saban actually has to do a press conference calling out the fan base.
And again, it's just I truly think it's because a lot of these fans that did not go to the university, t-shirt fans, have become so spoiled with the expectation that every year that they're making the playoffs, and then when they have one bad game, they immediately shift the blame to say, well, we would have won it all if Jalen Milroe hadn't done this, or we would have won it all if Seth McLaughlin had a better game and snapped the ball high. It's always that.
And then on top of that too, I mean, you got some of these same like no affiliation fans that are saying like, oh, it's time for Saban to retire, which
sanity.
And I've said it before too. I do think that the game is catching up with Saban. I do agree with that, with what I said, but that doesn't mean he should retire right now.
No,
he could easily have another 1 or 2 championships in his lifetime.
Sunsetting Nick Saban is still better than most other college football coaches out there today.
Exactly.
Like I think that the only way that you can make that case is if the recruiting falls off drastically.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they have the number 2 classes here.
Yeah. And like people, I mean, like the whole the past everybody went to Georgia, like, oh, the dynasty's dead. The dynasty's dead. I'm like, dude, they haven't dropped past 2 since he left.
Yeah,
and
this is the first year since his second year as head coach at Alabama that they haven't been ranked number 1.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's just pure dominance. I would say 85% of college football would die to have him as their head coach.
Oh, yeah. But I think
Saban to South Alabama confirmed.
I moved back to Mobile for that.
Hey, you want to talk about?
I think BB'd have a heart attack.
Situations. Our alma mater's our coaching staff is depleted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we will get into that a little bit later. We're going to stay on the college football playoff, but
I think
we
Texas
do need to
had
talk
some
about
really
that.
shitty play calling at the end of their game.
Washington tried to lose.
Back to the next point about the Alabama fans. I think it should a lot of it's going to get even worse once they realize that Bama don't have the best Jimmys and Joes anymore. And you're starting to see it because really there's this game and the Ohio State game is probably the 2 cases that I remember of being there's better than you. I wouldn't know there's generally better. And I think a lot of Bama fans are not too keen on that.
Well, the favorite guess phrase or excuse is, we beat ourselves, and now it's not. It's not.
And then to their point, in the past, probably prior 2019, and that was
Jalen Hurts
since
era.
2019. It's just you don't got it like you used to get it.
I think to sum this all up, it's like Bama, like these Bama fans, like they're smoking on the copium, and they're trying to find excuses for, why they're losing, when at the end of the day, it is because they were not the best team. Like, it's because of this. It's because of this center. It was because Jalen Milroe, because Saban's not catching up with the times. At the end of the day, there was. I mean, obviously, there's two teams better than them, being Texas and Michigan, since they beat them. But arguably, there is. I mean, you could make an argument for potentially Oregon being better than them. Georgia as well. I mean, obviously not, because they did beat Georgia, but if that game were to be played 10 times, Washington. There's another team. I mean, a healthy Florida State. So because it wasn't just Jordan Travis. I mean, they did have an elite defense. Didn't show that during the championship or their bowl game, because they had 20 something players sit out, but
27.
Still, yeah, 27. So,
but there's one more thing on that part though. Georgia had 28 or 20, same amount of
they had the 27. Yeah. The only problem with that is it is a little bit skewed because they were not starters. There were some starters.
I mean, I thought like impact players sat out.
Well, the thing is though, is that in the SEC, the one thing that the SEC does have over everybody else, and I won't even say SEC, I'm going to say like the blue blood, like powerhouse schools. So I'll say Ohio State, I'll say Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, like those teams. The thing they have is depth. Sometimes teams come along, and the reason they are doing well is because they have the perfect fit of a puzzle. But the thing is, like a lot of times when one of those pieces are gone, like a starter is gone here, a starter is gone here, then it all falls apart. So Florida State didn't have that depth. So Georgia, on the other hand, does have that depth. Alabama does have that depth. Does that go into who is the better team? Well, it depends on how we're looking at it. Like, are we looking at a whole all-around team, or do we want to start getting into hypotheticals saying, oh, well, what if this player goes out? How will that player step up? So if you look at the starters and then in the depth chart and who's going to be starting, who is better than who?
And real quick, I know we're, before we move on to the national championship look, I want to touch base on Washington, Texas.
Yeah.
I will say I personally, and I've watched a lot of football, the throws that Michael Penix Jr. was making were some of the best throws I have ever seen in college football.
NFL level.
It was
beautiful,
insane. Like, he was dotting it up, and like me and one of my old buddies, we were texting, and he said it was at halftime, and I was like, "What do you think?" And he was like, "Yeah, pretty good. I think Texas will end up winning it because Michael Penix is making these crazy throws, but they're bound to drop one or underthrow one. It never happened. Every single throw that was completed was perfect, and the incompletes weren't bad. It was one of the most impressive passing outings I have ever seen, especially at that high of a level. And it takes a lot for me to compliment a Pac-12 team like that. And I've been saying Michael Penix. I have the respect to say Michael Penix Jr. right now. Like, that was very, very impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that will get into the I guess we'll do a prediction for the national championship game. I'll go first. Go ahead and get mine out of the way. I think Washington wins. I think Washington's going to win by 10 points. I think it's going to be because, I know this is crazy after going on my little rant about Michigan, but I think Michigan's going to choke. I think Michigan kind of always chokes at whether it be like against Ohio State or in the Big Ten championship game or somewhere along the lines. Like, they usually cough it up. And I think that if they make the same mistakes that they did against Bama, Washington is going to abuse them like a stepchild. So give me Washington by 10. And I think it's going to be a high scoring game too. Like, honestly, I expect it to be like a 45-35 game or something like that. So give me Washington.
My heart says Washington, but my gut says Michigan. So I'm going to go with Michigan. I just think that they're going to be able to, control the line of scrimmage and run the ball. And by doing so, you'll take the ball away from Michael Penix. I can't even say Penix anymore. I'm so used to saying penis. Michael Penix.
Fair.
All right.
I would agree with Grayson that, I mean, I could think differently like I have all year, but after that Texas outing, like the throws they was making, it's like I don't see what's his name? Oduza or the receiver, like the receiving core that Washington has creates separation, even if it's by a foot. Michael Penix is able to fit it in that foot separation that they create. I think that's going to be a difference. Now, I will say the biggest thing that Michigan has an advantage on is, like BB said, is size on offensive line. That's going to be the struggle. That's why I think it stays close. I think it's going to be a high 20s, low 30s, like a 35 to 31 point game. I think it's going to be a very good game. I think because, again, like you've got two different strengths, two different weaknesses there. And so I think Washington wins a close one just because Michael Penix is clutch, and I think Michael Penix is able to get a last drive in. And with that, I think he'll either be able to get them in field goal territory or, score a touchdown with, again, to clinch the win. And I don't trust JJ McCarthy to do that, because if the roles are reversed, if Washington is up and there's a minute left and they need a drive, I don't trust JJ McCarthy to do the same. It's not knocking their running game. I just don't trust JJ McCarthy to make the throws against that Washington secondary in clutch moments, like at the end of the game.
So bouncing off of what Nick said, I'm kind of aligned with BB. I think though, so completely valid points, Nick. I think it's going to be a very close one too, and I don't believe JJ McCarthy is going to have as big of an impact as Michael Penix Jr. will. But I think the Michigan's running game and their size on offense is going to grind down that Washington defense. And in doing that, I think that's going to open up the passing game a little bit to where JJ McCarthy's not going to be making as big of an impact as Michael Penix, but I think it actually increases, the amount of threat in the air and on the ground. So I can see that as an advantage to Michigan. So I'm taking Michigan in a very, very, very close one. But I like, you made nothing but valid points, and I wouldn't be surprised.
I like that we're all close.
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't think one team's going to run away with it at all.
Yeah.
I think this is probably one of the best national championship games we've had in the last few years coming up. I think it's very closely matched. I really want Washington to win. I really do. But I think Michigan pulls it off in a very close one. But I'm not going with the running game. I'm going with their defensive line and linebackers.
They really did tear up Milroe.
Yeah, leading up to that game, they can't handle the SEC speed. That's gonna blah 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 blah. And they did. They stopped the running game from Alabama. They sacked Milroe crazily, and I think that's going to be a big factor into this game. It's hard to get those beautiful passes like Phoenix was throwing whenever you have those big guys in your face all game nonstop. I think defense is the factor that will let Michigan win by a touchdown.
All right. Yeah, I hate to see big guys in your face.
Yeah, you
do. Oh, well, all right. Well, I think that wraps up this episode. Everybody go listen to us on all of our socials and on every platform that we listen to or that we upload to. But until next time, casuals, don't get hard counted.